Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, and ServPro. Thank you for your support. Now let's get into it. Today's episode is titled Growing Tomorrow's Leadership. Darla Shirley is the Executive Director of Youth World. Darla has been serving in Dallas County since 1982. Through Church of Faith Incorporated, Darla founded Youth World Dallas Learning Center in 1998. Under her leadership and direction, Youth World has implemented programs to help alleviate food deficiencies, illiteracy, juvenile crime, financial stress, and much more, which positively impacts our families and our communities. Darla's passion to help children find their place in this world, to help families raise a higher level through God's power and direction is evident. She has been recognized for the positive impact and change to her community. Her commitment continues toward expanding Youth World's impact. Let's welcome Darla Shirley. Hello there.
Hi, Keandra. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
Great. It's Fun Friday.
It's Fun Friday.
Yeah.
Fun Friday. Okay.
Glad to be here.
Well, thank you for being here on this Fun Friday. I love that our Fun Friday caused us to coordinate today.
Well, if I'm going to see Keandra, it needs to be uptoned.
Oh.
I even thought, should I put on some extra? Because while we're talking, you might be subconsciously dressing me out.
Oh, my
Maybe
goodness.
adding some jewelry or something.
Oh, my God. You look perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and I just cannot wait for this conversation. So I have been looking forward. We've had you scheduled for a few weeks now, and so I've been looking forward to
Me
just
too.
sitting down talking to you.
Me too.
So, Darla, you've been in this community a really long time serving,
Yes.
and it is a difficult task, calling to serve for that period of time. And we're going to get into that in just a second, but that's how I know you is through your service. So who are you outside of your service? Who is Darla Shirley?
Outside of my service, I've been married we just celebrated our 46th year anniversary
Oh, my God.
with the same man.
Oh, that matters. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, and I've got 2 kids that have already blessed me with 4 grandkids, and I've got 2 on the way, both due in February.
Oh, wow.
Don't know how they scheduled that, but they've already told me, Mom, don't plan anything in February because you're going to be busy.
Sounds like
It's a
it.
good busy.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I love family. I love people, and I love just lifting up not only my own, but lifting up others and other families.
Yeah. Well, it shows through your passion. I was allowed to participate. I don't know if you remember, many, many years ago, you allowed me to participate in one of your charity fashion shows.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I really got a good glimpse into some of the work that you do at Youth World. Talk to me about how that happened, how it started, how you began Youth World. What happened?
Well, my father started a church in Oak Cliff in about 1980-81.
Okay.
That's what got me involved in the community so heavily. And what I learned, Keandra, is that everybody that needs a hand up, everybody that needs help is not necessarily in the West Dallas projects or on some kind of list.
That's right.
It could be a mom right next door. And for all kinds of reasons, I learned. Maybe it's a mom that, can I say butt on this? Works her butt off. That gets up at 5 a.m. and catches the bus
Right.
and works, but just can't with her and her kids just can't ever get ahead or make it, whether it's broken car. Maybe it is a mom that prefers a boyfriend, but still has a household full of kids that you can't ignore that they're in need. Maybe it's a mom that's addicted, but whatever the case is, there is families, there's kids that I learned that could be right next door that needs help. And Keandra, I've learned when you hear yourself saying, somebody ought to do something, you're probably the somebody.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody's just a piece of the puzzle. We can't do everything.
That's right.
I don't pretend to do everything. I can't do everything. None of us, not even Chamber. But all of us can do something.
That's right.
So I got up not knowing exactly. I just knew I was the somebody that needed to do something. So being in Oak Cliff, I went down to Edgefield and Davis and rented this old nasty warehouse. This was before Bishop Arts was cool.
Okay.
This was when no one wanted to be over here for dinner. And I rented that warehouse not really knowing what I was going to do. I just knew it was something. So I opened that up, and that first year, that was 1998, and that first year, DISD came to me and said, hey, would you feed the kids if we gave you free sandwiches? And I heard the word free, and nonprofits, that's a big buzzword.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, and I thought, how many hungry kids are really going to come in this old warehouse? We didn't have outdoor space, we didn't have parking, we didn't have anything, And so I got a 6-foot table with construction paper, I got some jump ropes, and thought, I'm set. Thinking 30 or so kids would come in. Well, that first day, over 100 came in. And every day they just kept packing in. And you know what I learned? It wasn't just for the soggy sandwiches. It was because they wanted to be seen, they wanted to be heard, and they had a hunger inside. Every child, no matter what we're hearing on the outside, no matter how they're behaving, because everybody gets, asked for help different.
Right.
But every child is screaming out on the inside, please somebody, tell me I belong in this world. Tell me that somebody cares. Somebody sees me here and can help me get to where I need to be. Tell me somebody loves me. Tell me I have talents. Every kid is screaming that on the inside. Sometimes they're screaming it ugly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, but they're all the nonetheless. You know what? People like you and I, we may not know what their God-given place is in this world, but we can help them find it. Between feeding them, making sure they're not going to bed hungry, making sure that they're staying with education and all the other things, lifting them up, looking at them in the eyes and hearing them and helping them change their story. That's what I learned. That first summer, Keandra, I'll be honest, I went home almost every day crying.
Yeah.
Because number one, I saw the need that I didn't really realize. I thought I knew, didn't really realize the depth. And number two, they kind of tore me up. A lot of days they won, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't stop. And one day I was sitting with this 9-year-old little girl named LaToya. Name might have changed. And she said to me, Miss Darla, one day, me and my mama, we're going to move out. We're going to go to Kmart. That's how long it's been. We're going to go to Kmart. We're going to buy stuff. I'm going to have my own room. It was everyday life for my daughter. But this was a dream for her. Well, I knew LaToya's mom was a twin, was a prostitute. So was and all the cousins were living in Shadow Creek Apartments, which you've been in the community long enough, you remember where they were. They've since been torn down. And I looked at that little 9-year-old who, praise God, still had hope, because many do not. And I looked at her and I thought, that's not going to happen unless people like me and you step up. And that just kept me going. And I would say, well, what else? What else? Not realizing that 27 years later, that we would be doing that and so much more, that God would have us in the community, building leaders and helping kids and teens find their place. I didn't actually plan for it. But again, when you say somebody ought to do something and you keep seeing needs, you keep seeing, oh, now how are they having shoes? Why is this mama saying she's going to the garage sale to get new school shoes? Why are those? Can I tell you, one summer, and this was in 2004, one of the little boys in our summer program had a high fever. Couldn't find any parent, any guardian to come pick him up. And I got concerned. I called my husband. I don't know why I called my husband, because he's not a doctor, but I called my husband. He came over and he started trying to cool down the boy. We found out, took his shoes off, all his toes were infected from wearing shoes that were too small.
Oh my gosh.
And so in 2005, again, I said, somebody's got to do something. 2005, we started the shoe drive giveaway. We've been doing it ever since. Thousands of shoes. Every summer we give 400 to 600 pairs of shoes to help kids go back to school. It was just recognizing a need and saying, we got to do something. And you know what I found, in you too, because you've been in this community so long doing amazing work, that people are really good if they know the need. Where I struggled, and maybe still do, but is you're in the trenches working and you forget to look up and ask for help or let people know, hey, we all got to rescue. I got to get better at that. But yeah, it's just seeing the need. You don't have to create anything. It's just meeting the needs in our community, and changing child's story. If we can change a child's story, it changes the family story. It changes the community story.
That's right.
And yeah, that's how it evolves. Again, not realizing that 27 years later, I'd still be sitting here talking about what God's doing and what's going to happen, and still having a vision for more.
Yeah. Darla, you are so very powerful. Can y'all feel that? I mean, it's oozing out of your pores, your passion for what it is that you do. How do you recharge?
You know what gets me up in the morning?
Tell me.
Is I think about one of the kids, or look at a kid and say, what if that was my son? Because my son, I sent him to a leadership camp. I made sure he read John Maxwell and all those books.
Right.
But what if he didn't?
Right.
What if you didn't have Bob, and even before that you were successful? What if you didn't have that mentorship? What if you didn't have those experiences? And I think, no, that child's just as equipped as anybody else. He just hasn't had the experiences yet. He hasn't had the knowledge yet. Let's not waste it. Anyway, I get up and say, okay, what if that was my son? What if that was my daughter? And they didn't have the connections. They didn't have the resources. They didn't have the parenting. And it just charges me to get up another day and say, hey, let's fix this. Let's go do this. Again, I know I'm just a small piece of the puzzle, but let's get up. Because what if? Where would my son be? Oh my God, where would I be?
Right.
If I didn't have the godly parenting, yes, no telling. I don't even want to think about how ugly. I'd for sure be the B word, and on the bus line, divorce. There's no telling. Right. So can we give just a little bit of our time and our resources and our knowledge? Can we give a book? Can we give a lesson? Can we give an exhortation and get that child where they really need to be? Anyway, it just keeps charging me up that I just can't. Somebody says, you're not getting any younger, Darla. We won't talk about that, but do you really, because I've started some new ventures, and you know, because we're a part of it and did the ribbon. I just built an expansion. They're like, really? Do you really want to be doing that? I can't help it.
Yeah.
One thing that you can't put a child on the shelf and say, wait. You've learned that with your daughter. We've learned that with ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't put children on the shelf and say, you know what? We're not ready for you yet. We let us get ourselves together, or let us get some more money, or let us get these, let us, they've already gone on to make potential stupid decisions that's life altering. Yeah. How are we going to change that story? We need to change it now. We need to change it today. And that's what gets me up is I don't know everything. I'm not an expert. I'm not a psychologist. It's just, it's the, can I beat the clock? Can I beat you to 16? Can I beat you before somebody talks you into dropping out? Can I get you before you do something potentially life-altering? Can we get you on the right track? Can we help you find your God-given place? And it just seems like there's no time to waste.
Darla, I can, and I'm really just almost overwhelmed. You give me goosebumps. You're just so full of passion, and I can't articulate that to people who are listening or seeing this, but I can feel it and I see it, and I'm so grateful for what you're doing for our community. I want to take a couple steps back if we could. Tell us, what is Youth World? What are some of the programs you have? And then if you'll move forward, you touched on the expansion. So tell us what you are, what you do. You've told us some of it, and then the expanded project.
So Youth World believes every child has a God-given place in this world. We just help them find it, whatever, and it just keeps evolving. First, it started out with, hey, let's feed them. Let's make sure they're not hungry. Let's give the family groceries. And then we said, what else do we need to do? When Leppert was mayor, he came out with the stat saying by the next generation, Dallas will be illiterate if we don't all step up and do something. We already had a library and a reading program, but it just energized me all the more. No, we need to keep these kids reading. We need to help them read. So we have a big library that helps them read. Tutoring. Oh my goodness. What if a mom, maybe she doesn't even read, what if there's a Hispanic barrier or whatnot, because a lot of our parents right now, Youth World's probably 35 or more Hispanic. So what if there's a language barrier and this child needs help? I put my child in tutoring. What if little Johnny didn't get in tutoring and he thinks he's stupid? So we bring in college kids in our after-school program that helps them with their homework, that tutors them, helps them read, helps them with their math. Do you know if they just do their homework, their grades increase 85%? Oh my gosh. We can all help somebody do their homework. Right. Well, maybe not Darla with math, but college kids can. And anyway, so it was simple. Hey, we got to open our doors after school and let these kids come in. And whether it's reading or let's make sure they have a hot meal before they go home. Let's make sure they have other experiences. Maybe mom can't afford to put them in guitar lessons. Well, let's give them guitar lessons. Let's give them drum lessons. So we have a music lab. We've been giving guitar lessons for years. I haven't found a Stevie Ray Vaughan yet, but you never know. But the real motive, and we don't tell the kids this, that if you get them involved in music, their math skills will accelerate and overall academics will increase. Again, we don't tell the kids that, but we have a sneaky motive.
Right.
And we do the arts. The game, we were so blessed for the Mavericks coming over and giving us a gym so that we could draw kids with athletics and all that entails. And the Dallas Stars gave us an outdoor sports court and a playground so that we could do this last summer. The girls learned pickleball because that's the rage.
That's the thing.
And we had hockey clinics. We had pickleball clinics. We had lacrosse clinics. Of course, basketball and football and cheering, all the different things. But it gives them experiences that we don't know if they're going to get it otherwise. So let's just give it to them while they're here, while we got them. Let's open the door to possibilities. Like I said, I don't know what everybody's God-given place. I just know they have one.
That's right.
So let's help them find it. So we're not trying to do everything,
Right.
and the reason that I did the expansion, do you want me to?
Please.
When it seemed like the worst time, when we first got the plans and talked about that, it was pre-COVID, and you know how things I don't have words for it, but doubled. What was going to cost $1.4 million cost $2.5 million.
Yeah.
Same.
Yes.
I didn't bougie anything up. It just happened.
Yeah.
But the reason that we knew we had to do it and we couldn't wait any longer is I was having to wait list teens. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I went into our auditorium one summer and I looked at a girl, and because we had to eliminate, if you were past 12, we were saying you can't come, we don't have room for you anymore in the summer. And they're hearing, we don't love you anymore, we're not going to feed you anymore, and you don't have a place here.
Right.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. I went into the auditorium where, hundreds of kids were. I looked at a girl and said, haven't you been 12 for a few years now? And she goes, Miss Darla, I don't have any place else to be. I'm thinking, oh, okay, I don't care what economics say, we've got to get this building up. Because like I said, we can't put her on a shelf. Yeah. And I couldn't send her out the door. Yeah. So we built an expansion specifically for teens to teach them leadership. We finished it last summer because y'all helped us celebrate that, and we're going to do a reveal real soon. But in that teen leadership, let me tell you what happened this summer. We had 100 teens come in every day from the community, not because they had to, because they wanted to be there. On Tuesdays, we taught relationship, because teenagers are mean, you know that. We taught relationship. Wednesday, we taught Dave Ramsey financial literacy. Oh my God, and on our level. Like, it's not fun to talk about saving money if you never have any, and your mom never had any. But if you can see yourself having some, anyway, we can't. That's another subject. But taught that's amazing. On Thursdays, Terry Foy Ministries came over and taught vision, and they made vision books and vision boards. Monday and Friday, we sandwiched them with what I call heavy hitters, that deal with character. Because if you can get somewhere, if you don't have the character to stay there, what good? I don't care if it's college, a job, sports, we all see that, what good is it? Anyway, that's one of the things that happened in that teen leadership space. We also built a commercial kitchen because we were having to outsource food. So we knew, hey, we're going to be feeding families, we're going to be feeding kids. We got to be able to control that. We got to have excellence. That first day that we fed out of our kitchen, I had a 5th grade boy stop me in the lunchroom and say, Miss Darla, did you hire chefs to cook for us? Oh, wow. And I said, yes. And he goes, he says, he was very honest, you know how kids are. Of the years I've been coming to eat here, this is the best meal I've ever had. And I went, thank you, Jesus, for that commercial kitchen. Thank you, Jesus, for Mercy Chef that's cooking our meals for us. We built a distribution area, talked to Crossroads, which is North Texas Food Bank, here in the community that helps serve the community. And they looked at I put pallet racks. I can't even reach yet. I put 15 and 18 high pallet racks, and my forklift goes 8 feet. But, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But they came over yesterday and said, we want to fill this up because we see you distributing food to our families and cooking for our families. So we're going to explode the distribution, but we had to have that. That's a tool.
Yeah.
It was, and it couldn't wait till to see if economy came down or if sheetrock got any lower. We just had to go for it. Anyway, and just, the testimonies coming out of that. The second Tuesday of every month, we're feeding. Families can come in and get a hot meal. And then if you know me, and I hope it's okay that I say this.
Please.
But everything we do, we bring you a piece of Jesus. So we Jesus you up some kind of way. I don't care whether you're coming to get food, rallying. Next Saturday we'll have 100 or 200 women like you saw you were a part of. Last month we did the fashion show. This month we'll still have them in and do something, and then they shop in the blessing store. But we always Jesus you up and ask you if you want prayer, because there's nothing worse than knowing that right next door there's apartment that there's women at midnight laying over their bed crying and don't know how to get up and get out. Groceries, praise God for it, but we got to have more.
That's right.
You and I have to have more. Everybody has to have more. So we do that. And so on those Tuesday nights when the families come in, then we do prizes and all the fun stuff. But then we do a little praise, and then give them exhortation, prayer. We've seen so many, can I say, miracles come out of just those dinners, family dinners. It's been amazing. So that's what the expansion's about, and we're not done yet.
Oh, goodness. Darla,
I told you, tell me if I talk too much.
You know what, when you can tell when someone's passionate about a thing, and so I love it. You are helping to build our community. Some of these things I was aware of, some I was not. We are fortunate that we get to work in some of these spaces ourselves, but with the older ones. And when you were talking about basically child trauma and you're trying to get ahead of some of that, unfortunately, we're working with the out-of-school youth, the 18 to 25, and you can see that damaged kid in the adult. And so it would be so amazing if we could have gotten ahead of some of the traumas that we have to deal with in our workforce program. And so I thank you for your work, and you've been doing it seemingly tirelessly for the last several decades. And so we're grateful for that. You know, you've talked to us about so many things, including why you're inspired, how you continue to keep your motivation. You know, Darla, what's next for you? Are you just going to keep on growing and going? What's next?
Well, you know, technology is forever changing.
Yeah.
And I see that we've got to get our youth tapped into it. And some say, well, Oak Cliff or the South Dallas County area, you know, it can afford. Well, yes, we can. What did they say? At least two streams make a big river, which is what what I see Oak Cliff Chamber is a part of. You know, you get rivers flowing and big things happen, bigger things happen, and our community changes, which is why I'm a part of you and the chamber. But I want to bring more technology. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself by saying this, but we're going to let the youth tap into the VR world, because what I've learned is if we're saying we want to help them find their place, do you know they could be sitting in a chair just like you and I and explore all kinds of job opportunities. Yesterday, I put on a VR set and I went into the veterinarian clinic, which wasn't really there, you know what I'm saying? And could have given a shot to a cat or whatever. I declined, but but it was that experience. But that was just one. I went into the next job. It was a a gentleman talking to me about construction and the safety and was going to teach me construction. There's so many that we could take a young person, even just a jobless person that's looking, that's maybe floundered or doesn't know what to do next or doesn't know what the next season, doesn't have to be a teen, but we could take them and say, experience these so that you're not 40, 50 and then going, oh, I know what I should be doing. Maybe we could figure it out now. And so the VR world will allow us to give these teens and jobless people the experience without having to find, they can even get certified. Can you imagine, Keandra?
Wow.
And that's just one of the things, the education, the travel. Yesterday, I sat in my office and toured Yosemite Park.
Oh, wow.
What in the world? Why we can give this to the kids. So that's Youth World's next project that we're working on, is building this and giving them that some people say, well, that's not affordable. Well, together we can make it affordable. That's and right. We can give them this opportunity. I think it's going to be a total game changer. Anyway, so yeah, I've got a lot of projects, always have projects that's burning in my heart, and that's one of the next big ones that I want to see happen for our youth and for our community.
Thank God for your vision. It takes a true visionary to be able to have that as being one of the next goals for the organization. Now, I know folks are watching, and I'm sure that you've touched their hearts like you have ours here. How can people get involved with your organization? And do you need the help?
Oh my gosh. Like I said, I consider myself a little stinky. I'll use the word stinky because I'm talking about myself, at asking for enough help when we so desperately need it. Because this doesn't just happen. Just because you're helping people do it, it's not free.
Yeah.
It's free to the community, free to the kids, but it is not free. We need partners. We need supporters. We need corporations to come alongside of us to help make these things happen. It's one thing to have a vision and to see a need, but it's another thing to make it happen and put it out there so it's a reality. Anyway, so yes, they can go to our website, youthworld.org, and get involved that way. Let me know that you want more information, whether that's, hey, I want more information, I want to see how to partner, or whatever it may be. I'd love to hear passionate people like you and myself to say, I can help change the story of a child. And that's what they're doing when they get involved, when they become sponsors or partners, monthly big or small, it all helps. Somebody yesterday said, well, I'm giving 5% of my sales in this. He goes, I don't know how big it's. I said, it doesn't matter. Thank you. Because every bit matters. And helps us, whether it helps us put a shoe, whether it helps us do a meal, whether it helps us ongoing, it matters. So yeah, I encourage anybody that's felt this heart, that's felt the passion that we have for our community, for our youth, I encourage them to go to our website and get involved, and I'd be glad to talk with them.
Okay. And if by chance there is a young person that's watching and needs some help, how do they get in touch with you?
We are so easy to find. We are 2 doors down from Carter High School, on the corner of Wheatland and Polk. Big metal building, you can't miss us. And I just encourage them, whether they come by, they call, they get on the web and find out, but we'd be glad to give them how to get plugged in. How do they get plugged into T-Night? How do they get plugged into After School Club? How do they know about our monthly outreaches and the economics that we solve? We'd be glad to pull them into the family and say, here, let's help you find your place.
Darla, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for just being a hearer and doer of what you're called to do for us, for the community. You are phenomenal. You are powerful. And I just love being able to sit beside you.
Well, thank you, Keandra.
You.
I feel the same. I love being with power people that make things happen, and you're one of them.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. And again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.